It's been about a month since I put down sand to level out my new turf. Normally with new sod, you don't want to do too much to it too early on. You want to give it at least a full grown season or 1 year to establish itself. But it was driving me crazy and I really wanted to get some sand down to level out any dips and divots in the turf. So I wanted to show you an update to see how the lawn looks after my sand leveling project. So starting from the backyard here, you can see the turf is looking mighty gorgeous. It's green, it's healthy. I think it's pretty established right now, and I'm really satisfied the way it's looking. I have a few spots here and there, but we'll go over that later on. But you can see from a distance, it looks really good. And I'm just gonna pan this camera around so you can see. So not too bad. I'm really satisfied with the results. Now we're gonna move ahead and take a look over here. Moving a little closer, you can see it is filling in nicely. There's a few minor spots here and there. If I pan the camera down, you can see there's a little bit of spot right here. Maybe a few patches here and there, but Bermuda in its nature is self-repairing and it will repair itself. You can see I have a little nuts edge problem right here, but there's nothing I can do for that. So the first year, you don't want to put down any post-emergence, you don't want to put down any pre-emergent, just let the grass establish itself. Moving over here, I took my sod plugger and took a few samples from different parts of my turf to fill in this big spot here. Something happened here, I don't know exactly what. I think probably just the scalping from the reel mower kind of took off a lot of the turf, but it is going to fill in. And you can see down here how these runners are just starting to fill in here. So it's going to fill in. I'm not too worried. Bermuda, again, is self-repairing. So give it some time. Don't do anything to it. There's a spot. I had a big spot right here, but that's on its way to repairing itself. This was actually a drainage issue. So I had to kind of take off some dirt in order to allow the water to go right into this drain. So it is flowing nicely, and you can see it is starting to repair itself. Moving to the side yard, again, looking good. I'm pretty satisfied with the results. I have a few weeds, it's kind of driving me crazy, but again, I'm not doing too much to it. All right, over here has always been a problem for some reason. Nuts edge always pops up here. I don't know why. Something about this area. Maybe it's a drainage situation, but this is on a hill, so I don't understand why is nuts edge here. Even when I had my common Bermuda, this area always had nuts edge. But let it go, move on. Looking at the front yard, looking good. All right, this is the front. Again, I'm pretty satisfied with this. It is looking amazing. It is gorgeous. I'm really happy with the outcome. This side of my yard needs a little bit more work, but it is improving. Again, I think it was some kind of drainage issue right here. Water was puddling here, so I had to actually add some sand to raise it up just a little bit, and it seems to be repairing itself. But sand leveling is a project that you're gonna have to do at least 2 times. It's usually a multi-year project. You want to put down a little bit at a time, let it fill in, and then add more sand as time passes. So what is the secret to a consistent green Bermuda lawn? And it's really just one thing, and that's mowing. And when I say mowing, I don't just mean just going out and mow when it's time to cut your grass. I mean, you got to pick up the frequency of the mowing. So whatever height of cut you decide to keep your turf at, you got to mow consistently. But the key thing to keep in mind is the lower you keep your height of cut, the more frequent that you have to mow. So giving you an example, let's say you only have time to mow once a week, and that's perfectly fine. It's not ideal, but it's fine. But in order to mow once a week, you got to raise your height of cut. Usually at about 2 inches is where you got to keep your height of cut at. You can go a little bit higher, but just know Bermuda likes to be kept short. But as a homeowner, I could understand why it's difficult to come out and mow frequently. If you cannot devote more time to the lawn, you gotta raise your height of cut. Something has to give. You can't keep your lawn low and then cut once a week. You're just gonna scalp too much off and it's not gonna look good. So I'm gonna give you a quick example here. So I need to go in the shade just to kind of cool off. Here's an example. Bermuda typically has the top portion, usually about 20 to 30% of the top portion of Bermuda is green, but the bottom portion of the Bermuda, the remaining 70%, is brown. So what happens is when you cut too much off, you're going to expose the brown, and that's why you get those ugly brown marks. So the trick to keeping that consistent green is to cut a little bit off at a time, and the only way you can truly do that is to increase your mowing frequency. So an example, what you want to do every time you cut your lawn, you want to cut just a little bit off, like a hair, like this much on my finger. Okay, if you cut too much off, you're going to expose the brown. So increase your mowing frequency and just cut a little bit off at a time. If you cannot come out and mow often, the only option that you have left is to increase your mowing height. When you do that, the Bermuda is not going to grow as fast, and then and only then you can keep up with the mowing. You can come out once a week, but something has got to give. You either raise your mowing height and just cut once a week, or lower your mowing height and cut multiple times a week, minimum twice a week. Because I have new sod, I have not done anything. I was able to transform my yard in under 1 year, and that's from new sod. You gotta mow frequent, mow often. If you cannot keep up with the mowing, raise your height of cut. I've done nothing to my lawn except mowing and fertilizing. I have not put down any pre-emergent, haven't put down a post-emergent. The only thing, the key to a green lawn is to mow often, guys. It's really easy. Just get out there and mow, 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 mow. If you cannot mow often, raise your height of cut. It's not ideal, but it will work. But the trick is to take off a little bit at a time. Now, of course, mowing is not the only equation, and there's other things you gotta factor in too. You gotta fertilize and feed your lawn. You gotta provide irrigation, and you got to solve any drainage issues you may have in your lawn. If your Bermuda can get at least a minimum 7 hours of sunlight, preferably 8 or more, your Bermuda will thrive and fill in those spots